Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Hi, my name is Mallory Jenner Robinson. Join me on A Hateful Homicide, a true crime and investigative journalism podcast dedicated to telling the stories regarding the murders and hate crimes of our transgender, non-binary, intersex, and two-spirit community members in the United States and abroad. This is A Hateful Homicide.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Hey Dylan, how you doing?
They call me Sweet Bobby D.
They call you that?
Yeah, they do.
Who's they?
Just they, you know?
The masses?
You know, you can't ever expect someone to explain who they are, but they are responsible for so much if you think about it.
They are.
How many times have you heard that in your life? They said, or they say.
They be out here doing this thing.
They be outside, you know, things like that. Yeah.
It's always they.
Makes me suspicious.
I wonder who they are.
I know.
I want to have a conversation with they.
And I want to know how they have so much sway over our society. You know? Yeah.
The questions abound. Dylan, are you ready to get into part 2 of the Relisha Rudd story?
I am still reeling to a degree from part 1. You know, you keep expecting the adults in the story to maybe get their shit together. And the description of that, gosh, I'll loosely use the word shelter to describe it, which is really weird. I was thinking about that. You know, you're talking about all the money that pours into this place, and it's obviously not being ran very well. And I just know that there has to be, and places like this never have enough. You know, they always could use more for something new or an upgrade or more capacity. But this was like something out of a horror movie.
Yes.
I mean, it's just
like a Saw movie.
Yeah, like the most deplorable conditions and the food and everything. And it really makes you wonder where the money's going.
Well, I wonder that as well, Dylan, and not to go off on a tangent here, but recently there was a news article published by Fox News and then another by New York Post discussing Asheville. You know, and in the article they were saying Asheville, North Carolina has really gone downhill. It has this huge homeless problem as well as crime, and that people don't feel safe being downtown. It's got, I'm going to say it's received quite a backlash. Right? But I was looking into it, and there's about 800 year-round homeless folks accounted for in Asheville,
which is an increase.
And it says $20 to $40 million a year is spent, but not only by the government, but like nonprofits in the area to try to help this issue. So if you've got like $20 million that you're pouring into homelessness, and there are 800 homeless people, that seems like a lot of money, and maybe the problem could be fixed or
at least
lessened.
Reduced.
So where's that $20 million going is my question.
So it's only increased. It was in the 700s, you know, when they surveyed, and now it's in the 800s. So that's a significant increase.
Well, since 2010, there's been a 120% increase in homelessness in Asheville.
And for context, people who've never been to that area, you hear the number 800 homeless people, and you may think, wow, that's not that many people. But it really is not a large area, especially the downtown area.
Well, the population of Asheville city within the city limits is like 97,000.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's another thing. People want to be like, well, you know, it's the city of Asheville. It's a big town.
It was never intended to be a city.
No. not by any means. Never the infrastructure, none of that was ever designed for that.
No.
And then then in recent years it's gained a lot of popularity, and certainly since the pandemic that was accelerated times 10, like it was for many areas. And
but we had a homeless issue before Hurricane Helene hit, and a lot of folks want to point to the hurricane and say, well, that's why we have this increase in homelessness. And yes, I would say that accounts for, maybe a small percentage, but we had a massive homeless problem in the area before the hurricane hit.
Well, yeah, the inauthenticity of that statement that people make, the people that make that statement are, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they're not locals, they're not born and bred in the area, and they don't know what they're talking about, because what people are talking about, the Asheville that's dead and gone, the whole area has changed in ways, and it was happening long before Hurricane Helene and long before the pandemic, and this is 15, 20 years in the making.
Right.
In my opinion, you've just slowly watched this place change. All the cool people are pushed out, all the quirkiness is gone, all the people that made it the Keep Asheville Weird crowd, if you will.
They've long hit the road.
They've hit the road because they've been pushed out by gentrification.
So when people are like, Asheville's so funky today, I'm like, bro, you obviously didn't know Asheville 20 years ago.
No, when it was a quirky,
when it
fun,
was funky
and
weird
all
and
that.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a kind of a microcosm, and just a small example of what our story's about here.
Well, yeah, millions of dollars pumped in to this crisis across the United States, and what we're finding is it just seems like it gets worse the more money that's spent. So someone's profiting off of this nonprofit industry, right?
Right, and I think it's safe to say who knows, we can argue about what needs to be done, but what we're doing is not working.
No.
I think that's obvious.
It's not working at all. It just seems to worsen year by year.
It seems like it makes it worse, and I have some suspicious ideas as to why that might be the case, but that's for another conversation.
Yeah, so this shelter is not a place for children, period. I think we've established that. And when we last left you, Khalil Tatum was seen on security footage February 26, 2014 at two motels in the northeastern area of Washington, D.C. with 8-year-old Relisha Rudd.
Yeah, so it makes me curious how quickly they got this video, right? Once they started looking for the girl.
According to the Washington Post, one day before the sighting on February 25th, Payne Elementary School staff contacted Shamika Young. Relisha had 5 unexcused absences, so a parent-teacher conference was scheduled. The meeting was required by law for truancy. At the March 5th meeting, school officials discussed support services that could help Shamika ensure that her daughter met attendance requirements. During this meeting, Shamika mentioned to school officials that Relisha had been suffering from migraines and was being treated by a Dr. Tatum.
See, this kind of behavior is what makes me think that she is, dare I say, complicit, or...
You mean Shamika?
Yes. Shamika is... It's just, these are strange lies, right? Oh, this guy's her godfather. Oh, he's her doctor, apparently. These are ridiculous stories.
Shamika posted a video on Instagram dated March 1st. The video showed Relisha, but it is believed to have been recorded earlier since no one had actually seen the child since February 26th.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if Shamika posted this video so people wouldn't question where Relisha was. I'm not really sure the circumstances of the video, but officials will later say they do not believe it was actually recorded the date it was posted.
Again, what's your motivation to do this?
While Relisha and Khalil had developed a special relationship, Antonia Wheeler found it unsettling. At one point, Shamika told her partner, quote, Khalil is her godfather. And Antonio said, no, he's not her godfather. And he even said this to Khalil's face, along with stay away from my daughter.
Oh, wow. So he's not totally on board with this relationship.
It does not seem to be the case. Antonio also told Shamika to keep Relisha away from Khalil, but according to him, she didn't listen. Relisha has many adults in her life. Let's be fair, she's got Shamika, she's got Antonio, Grandma Melissa, the Aunt Ashley, staff at the elementary school, as well as staff at the shelter. And at the elementary school, there's also a social worker who is assigned to help Relisha and other students who are considered homeless. And many of them stay at the shelter.
Oh, okay.
So this social worker's primary job is just to kind of keep check on these students. So during Relisha's absences, the social worker reported receiving a doctor's note for the child that was passed on by Melissa Young. The social worker even had several phone conversations with the, quote, doctor who said Relisha was being treated for neurological issues.
All right, Dr. Tatum.
During this time, Antonio was working out of town in Pennsylvania, so he was away from home a lot. He admits that he might not have been up to date on everything that was going on with the children and was relying on Shamika's accounts while he was gone. So during this time that he's working out of town, Shamika is not mentioning that Relisha is missing, that she doesn't have her physically, like in her custody.
Which is very strange. Very strange thing to do. And so it's good to see that Antonio has at least expressed misgivings about the situation or what's going on.
On March 19th, the heating system at Payne Elementary was partially out. The social worker made some phone calls from the main office where the principal overheard the conversation. So the principal hears this conversation that Relisha's being treated for migraines and neurological issues. The doctor is going to provide a note. The principal basically orders the social worker, like, you need to go to this doctor's office right now and get a note. Like, this back and forth phone call, like, we're not doing this. We need a physical note, and I want you to drive to the doctor's office and get this note.
Which I would imagine is outside of something that would normally happen. So it makes you think that even the principal is kind of smelling bullshit, right?
Well, the social worker doesn't know where to find Dr. Tatum, the office. So she goes to the shelter to ask around, and there is told there is no Dr. Tatum, but we do have a janitor named Khalil Tatum who is employed here at the shelter.
Now, if you're the social worker, at this point, what does this make you think? I mean, I would be like, well, I could tell you what my thought would be. I want to lay eyes on this little girl right now.
Well, this did raise red flags for the social worker who is already maybe feeling a little uneasy about the situation, like something just doesn't sit right. Also, these conversations with the doctor, quote, didn't sound like a medical professional.
Right. Right, because I think anyone who's ever talked to any kind of doctor, no matter their expertise, they always seem very professional, very knowledgeable, and they all have to have a certain air about them. You know what I mean? I think someone was acting like a doctor. It wouldn't be that hard to figure out.
Well, and let's be fair. Most doctors don't directly speak to you over the phone.
No.
You would be, if you called a doctor's office, you're likely speaking to a receptionist, possibly a nurse or a medical assistant. It's very rare that the doctor himself is going to call you directly. And I find it hard to believe that a doctor would personally call the social worker at the school.
No.
Like, that just, that doesn't really make sense for me.
No, it doesn't add up.
I've never had a doctor, like, personally make contact and make those phone calls.
No.
It's usually tasked to a different employee, right? Another employee. Now, the social worker, to the social worker's credit, many children lived at the shelter and most attended the elementary school. So this social worker is keeping track of a lot of kids because there's something like 600 kids at the shelter in total.
That's crazy.
But as soon as the social worker realizes something is amiss, she goes on to take immediate action. She makes a complaint to the city's hotline for child abuse. That day, police become involved. The social worker is at the shelter when police arrive to speak with Shamika Young about her daughter.
Okay, so hats off to the social worker for taking decisive action.
Finally.
And yeah, And the social worker, this might me speculating, maybe they're also like, well, shit, I've kind of bought this BS. We need to get ahead of this. We need to figure out what's really going on, because now that they're thinking back on past conversations and things like that, they may really be getting worried that they've been being lied to in some form.
While police are interviewing Shamika about Relisha's whereabouts, Antonio arrives at the shelter, and at this point, he doesn't know much about Relisha missing school. Someone asks him, like, do you know about Dr. Tatum or where we can find him? And Antonio makes it very clear to law enforcement he does not know a Dr. Tatum, but is familiar with a Khalil Tatum, the janitor.
Damn.
Antonio had not known that this, quote, Dr. Tatum was exchanging notes with the school on Relisha's behalf. Antonio was also aware that Relisha had been missing for 18 days.
He wasn't?
He did not know. He's been out of town working, and Shamika has not mentioned any of this, that Relisha has missed 18 days, has missed multiple days of school, and that she's been missing for 18 days.
I mean, how do you not tell your partner that this is what's going on? I can think of only one reason, but continue.
Well, that's a great question. Now, at this time, it is discovered that no one knows where Relisha is, though it is implied that she is with Khalil Tatum. By March 13th, Relisha had 10 unexcused absences, totaling over 30 days of school missed by mid-March. 30 days for the school year.
So school typically starts mid-August, right?
Right.
Depending on where you're at, sometime in August. And we're August? 5 months in?
Yeah, about that.
5 or so months, and she's missed a month of school in 5 months.
Yes.
That is wild. I mean, that would be a lot for the whole school year.
Yes, students that miss 30 plus days of school, typically they have like a major health problem, something like that.
Yeah, and that major health problem is usually there's more evidence than just a doctor's note. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and truancy is a big deal. I think a lot of people forget that truancy is still a thing. When I hear the word truancy, I always think of like the 1950s or something. But it's a real problem today, and parents are taken to court over truancy issues. Like if your child misses a certain number of days, law enforcement, they will come get you and you will go to court. Like they will serve you with papers. You must go to court.
Yeah, and explain why
your child is missing from class. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a very big deal.
Yeah, and some bigger cities and stuff have like truancy officers. They literally go hunting for kids who are like ditching school and stuff.
They do. While Relisha was absent, her 3 younger brothers were attending school regularly. So due to their attendance, it didn't really flag Relisha's truancy as a high priority. Like if all 4 children had not been showing up for school, it probably would have been taken more seriously. Since it was just Relisha, it was on the list, but it was not considered like a top priority.
Yeah, and so far they've asked some questions and been given answers for the most part.
During the police interview, Antonio requests a smoke break and is taken outside by an officer. In an interview with Through the Cracks podcast, Antonio recalled seeing Khalil Tatum pushing his janitor's cart at this time. Antonio tells him that Relisha is missing and that the police are investigating. Tatum says, quote, "I'm not trying to keep your daughter," and then went on to say, "She's at home with my wife, Andrea."
Oh my gosh.
Now, inside the building, Antonio alleges that he told police, "I've just spoken to Khalil Tatum outside and confronted him."
Or excuse me, Dr. Tatum.
"Where's my kid?" And he said that police admonished him. They were like, "Well, why did you alarm him? Why'd you tell him?" Antonio says, "Well, it's perfectly normal response to ask the person accused of taking your child, where's my child and where have you taken them and what are you doing?
Yeah.
I want my child back."
Well, I'd be like, why are you not asking him questions is what I would ask the police.
Right. And my question is, if Antonio tells police, like, we just saw Tatum downstairs, like, why did they not go after him? Wouldn't they want to catch Khalil Tatum at that moment and question him, not give him the opportunity to leave and go hide evidence or whatever?
Or the opportunity to do anything. And especially now, I get to a degree what the cop's thought process is. Don't warn him that we may be onto him, if you will. But especially now that you think he may have been tipped off, go directly get him, detain him, and start questioning him.
Well, when police start asking for Khalil Tatum, employees start answering that he left early that afternoon.
No. I mean, why did you not go to him almost instantly? Or especially as soon as Antonio comes into the picture and says, I don't know any Dr. Tatum, but I know about the janitor, Tatum. I mean, put two and two together.
Well, according to Shamika, Dr. Tatum was attending a medical conference in Atlanta. He had taken Relisha on the trip. She stated that the pair had left on March 8th, and she had spoken to her daughter via telephone on March 17th, and everything was fine. Shamika said she had known Khalil Tatum for, quote, several years, trusted him fully with Relisha's care, and did not wish to file a police report.
I'm going to assume that she really hasn't known him for years. That her first contact with him was when she came to the shelter.
Yes.
And I mean, how do you even say something like the doctor went to a medical conference and took my daughter with him? I mean, what are we talking about?
Well, law enforcement immediately begins trying to contact Khalil Tatum's cell phone. It just keeps going to voicemail, so they're unable to speak with him. On March 19th, the missing posters for Relisha Rudd are posted. Soon, everyone at the shelter will know the child is missing. The flyers feature a photo of Khalil Tatum as well as pictures of Relisha. They are placed around the building, but staff members take them down as quickly as they are hung.
Okay.
So Khalil Tatum has staff members, coworkers covering for him. I mean, these people don't care that a child is missing. They just want to protect Khalil.
Well, I mean, maybe it's from a place of there's no way Khalil did anything to this little girl.
Well, even if that's the case, I'm not going to take down posters for a missing child.
Well, no, because I'm going to think to myself, there must be some reason that they're wanting to talk to him, right? And also, I, in my suspicious mind, my true crime mind, would think, wow, the cops come around that one day. As soon as the cops come around, he leaves early, and nobody can get a hold of him now. That's
well, these posters
weird.
go up like that evening. Like, so this is the day that she's reported missing. The posters immediately go up.
So this is all happening in a very quick.
It's very much happening in a quick, succession of things here.
I guess we must remember that he is charming and all that, and maybe people just think there's no way he could be involved, and they're trying to save his character or something. I don't know. I wouldn't go for it.
But there's still a child missing. I mean, does that not matter? Do we not want people to see Relisha's picture and know she's a missing child in case they see her out and about? I don't know. I don't understand that part. But law enforcement searches Khalil's apartment on Hay Street. No one is home. They go to Ashley's apartment, where they're given permission to search the home for Relisha. Ashley admits it's the first time she's heard that her niece is missing and that she's not seen Relisha in 2 weeks. When Melissa Young is questioned about her granddaughter's disappearance, she tells police not to worry, saying that Relisha is with her godfather, Khalil Tatum.
All right, so here's Tatum's name again.
I mean, it seems no one is concerned about Relisha's missing person status except for Antonio. He was the most shocked of all. And according to investigators, he's the only one that seems upset or concerned, worried, and the only person expressing any kind of negative feeling about Khalil Tatum.
And so this includes Relisha's mother? Her aunt maybe not so much. She just doesn't really know what's happening. Her grandmother, don't worry, she's with her godfather, the doctor, the neurosurgeon. The staff, the shelter staff is like, fuck it, take those down, take those pictures down. We don't want to impugn this man's reputation, and Antonio is really rising to the top here as maybe the one decent person, though I would say he could have maybe tried harder and done a lot of other different things and made different decisions up to this point to not be there with these kids. He's the only one who seems to give a damn.
Relisha Rudd is officially declared a missing person. Her mother, Shamika, hasn't known her child's whereabouts for 18 days. She did not file a missing persons report, and she did not want police to file one now, like at the time that they're filing one. An Amber Alert was issued on March 20th for Relisha. Shamika speaks to the press about Relisha's disappearance. I believe it is on the same day that the Amber Alert goes out, and that's like her first interview with the press. She says she doesn't feel responsible for Relisha's disappearance because the child was in care of her mother, meaning Melissa Young, and her sister Ashley. So she denies making statements that Relisha was in the care of Dr. Tatum. Shamika says Relisha had only been in the care of her grandmother, and that if someone else had her daughter, it was directly related to the grandmother, that Melissa Young had passed the child off to someone. If anybody had given the child to someone, it had been the grandmother or the aunt, Ashley.
Okay, so A, why do you keep saying that someone's given the child to anyone? Why do you not seem concerned that your daughter is missing for all intents and purposes? And C, I agree with you. You're not responsible. You're not at all a responsible person. That's why you're in this terrible, horrible horror movie shelter with 4 kids. Right? When you had more than a year of paid rent and lodgings and who knows what else to get your shit together. And now here you are. And you don't even give a damn that your daughter's missing.
Dylan, you're making too much sense.
I mean, this is insane.
You're going to piss people off with all that common sense, Dylan.
No, I'm just saying it is insane that someone can be this. And again, why are you saying, like, where's your daughter at? That's what we're trying to figure out. And you're just really talking about blame, honestly.
Yeah, she's pointing the finger. I left my daughter with my mother. I didn't even know she was missing.
How do you not? Yeah, okay. All right.
Well, in the days after Relisha having been reported missing, the internet comes for Antonio Wheeler. Internet sleuths accuse him of being a pedophile and a murderer. Accusations fly that Shamika and Antonio sold Relisha to Khalil Tatum for sex trafficking purposes. People scrolled through social media and found a post that was made previously by Antonio. It was a picture of like a big wad of money. And they're saying, see, he has all this money in this picture. That's probably from selling the child into sex trafficking or selling her to Khalil Tatum. And Antonio defends himself by saying, well, actually, that was my tax return money.
Right. So, yeah, let's attack the one guy who seems to care.
But he's catching a lot of hell. Just people wanting to point the finger at him.
And this doesn't surprise me that the internet is having this top. And I got to say, if I just saw the case without much detail or anything like that about what's actually happening, it's kind of easy to blame the guy, right? It's because a lot of time, men do a lot of violent, terrible shit. So, I kind of get it. And we all know the internet is a clumsy thing. It just kind of bashes, into a situation, and everybody has an opinion.
Well, it just picks a side.
Everyone's all of a sudden an expert,
on everything.
Gosh,
all the time.
I just, everyone's experts. It doesn't matter what you're talking about.
It's amazing.
Just all of a sudden, people are such experts.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially when you check illiteracy rates for the United States and how many people can't even read at an 8th grade level, yet all of a sudden everyone is so knowledgeable about everything.
Yeah, a 4-syllable word really sends them.
Yeah. Just days before Relisha was reported missing, Tatum had purchased a brand new car for his wife, Andrea. It had a vanity plate, Khalil.
Okay.
Well, the new maroon SUV with a vanity plate is discovered on March 20th at the Red Roof Inn on Oxon Hill Road. Police make their way to room 132, where Tatum had checked in the day before with his wife. Authorities break into the room and make a shocking discovery. Expecting to locate Relisha Rudd with Khalil Tatum, possibly dead or alive, they instead stumble upon a gruesome scene. Andrea, Khalil's wife, is lying face down on the bed with a single gunshot wound to the back of the head.
Damn.
There were no signs of a struggle. Security footage shows the couple check in the previous night at around 10:04 p.m. There were no signs of Relisha with the couple. Andrea's daughter, Alexis, happened to be scrolling on Instagram when she sees a post about this missing child, Relisha Rudd. Now, this is kind of happening at the same time police learn her mother has been killed in this motel. So she sees this stuff about Relisha, and after seeing this post, she knows the name. She's seen this child, like she's familiar with Relisha. So she, just based on the fact that Khalil has this child at her mother's home sometimes, right?
Yeah, has been doing that a lot. It's almost like she's kind of in a weird way like a part of the family.
Well, after seeing this post, she got a ride to her mother's home to figure out what is going on with this missing child. Andrea wouldn't be home, according to her daughter, like she knew that her mother wasn't at home because Andrea had phoned the evening before to say she was going to check into a motel because their heat was out. When Alexis arrived at her mother's apartment, the police were already there, and they told Alexis she couldn't come into the apartment because it was dubbed a crime scene.
Oh, wow.
Now, at this time, an officer pulls Alexis aside, and she asks about her mother, where's my mom, what's going on, whatever. The officer had the misfortune of delivering tragic news to Alexis that her mother, Andrea, had been found deceased in this motel room.
Now,
and that the manner of death was homicide.
Now, I feel terrible for her because she's just trying to figure out what's happening, find her mom, make sure everything's okay, maybe get the details of what's actually going on. And instead, she finds police, a crime scene, basically, and gets the news that her mother's deceased. And now, whether or not they said she'd been murdered at that point, I guess we don't know that. But now your whole world's been thrown into a tailspin.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that multiple people are impacted by this. I mean, not only do we have Relisha's family impacted by her missing person status, but now we have Andrea's family, her daughter. She has other children. She has 5 children total, so she has 4 other children that will hear this news. And I'm sure Khalil, he has children and family members. So a lot of people are going to be impacted by this.
And this is all happening in a succession of just weird, strange news. It's like splintering out across this city.
Alexis will say, looking back, she and her mother had noticed a change in Khalil kind of months earlier. He was a convicted felon, but he kept asking his wife whether or not he should buy a gun, and she told him no. Andrea was terrified of guns, and she did not want one in the house. And she told her husband, you don't need to get a gun because you would be violating the law. You're a felon. You're not supposed to own a gun.
Right.
And she refused to buy him one. Because I guess he was kind of urging her, will you go buy me a gun? And she's like, no.
Yeah, she doesn't want.
The answer is no.
She doesn't want a gun around, period. And many people feel that way. They're not comfortable with guns around, in any form. And like she said, he'd be violating a law, which that's a law that can send you back to prison very quickly. Felon in possession of a handgun,
or
a firearm,
yep.
Yes, very serious charge.
It is, and Alexis, even questioned if, like during this period of time when he kept hounding Andrea about getting a gun, if he already had one and was trying to get her to agree so he could say, well, I've already got one.
Right.
Because she feels like maybe he already had a gun in his possession at this time. Well, in the search for Relisha Rudd, finding Andrea's body made finding Khalil Tatum even more urgent. Before, he was a person of interest in a kidnapping, but now he's a murder suspect. A man was identified after appearing in the motel surveillance footage, and he claimed that Khalil had asked him for a ride, so the man picked Khalil up from the room, but he was not allowed to enter into the room. He saw Andrea on the bed, but assumed she was just asleep, and that this man dropped Khalil at the Southern Avenue metro stop, and then he had never seen Khalil again.
All right, so it's a hot lead.
Some kind of friend, yeah. During their investigation into Khalil Tatum, police learned that he had filed for divorce from Andrea 2 weeks before Relisha had gone missing on February 7th of 2014. They actually found a copy of these divorce papers in the apartment, Khalil and Andrea's apartment. Relatives said the separation was mutual, that Andrea had considered leaving Khalil several times due to domestic violence issues. At the apartment, they found 2 cell phones, $87 in cash, a photograph of Relisha, a computer tablet, and a large bag containing children's clothes and shoes. But it doesn't seem like there's any indication of where the child might be. When family and friends learn that Andrea has been found murdered and that her husband is wanted in the disappearance of an 8-year-old girl, they are dumbfounded. Andrea and Khalil had struggled with addiction, poverty, incarceration, and, of course, other marital woes that most couples face.
Well, those first woes you listed are pretty big woes.
Well, they are. They definitely are. But they seemed strong in their marriage. One relative suggested the only reason Andrea had stayed was due to her relationship with Narcotics Anonymous, the always make amends motto. Yeah. That she was taught at Narcotics Anonymous, that she kind of applied that to like all the areas of her life. And so she just felt like she had to forgive Khalil and kind of keep making peace with him, even when she wanted to leave.
Though I know those organizations, Narcotics Anonymous, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and various other support groups have helped countless people. I think a lot of people will attest to that.
Yeah.
But some people argue that in the systems themselves are some things that can hold you back, or you almost swap out your addiction for the structure or for the program, if you will. And then just like you're describing there, something like because of what she's learned in NA, it's maybe made her not make the best choice for herself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, because her instincts may be to get the hell away from this guy, but she may be afraid of either it causing her to relapse or, like you said, not going through with the program or not finishing the steps of the program. And it might not be in her best interest to think like that.
Well, and also she's in that mindset that you need to make amends for everything. So perpetuating this relationship and just feeling like she needs to constantly forgive him and accept him as he is, or, whatever. I mean, I've known people who were deeply religious that also kind of had that same mindset. They had a terrible marriage, of a horrible partner, but they were so afraid to divorce their partner, like just because of their religious teachings and what they had been, they'd been brought up to believe, that they continued being married to this person even after they were incarcerated for decades, or, had moved out and were living with someone else, and they're living completely separate lives, but they don't get a divorce.
Yeah, and see, I don't think, of course, I'm not one to speak for God or any other omnipotent being, but I don't think that that's what they would want for you. You know what I mean? For you to sacrifice your own happiness and well-being because of some tenet of faith.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I would like to believe
it's interesting.
that-
But there again, I think it kind of speaks to what you're saying, that some people just really take something, they're taught, like always make amends and just run with it, no matter how it affects them.
Right.
Right. Now, Andrea's cousin told the news media that their theory was Andrea had likely discovered, quote, something sinister about her husband, which led to her death. And it's not beyond the realm of possibilities that perhaps she found out some information, confronted her husband, and he killed her.
Well, that honestly, that's what I think, or that's what I thought as this story is developing.
Khalil was determined to have left the motel in a white GMC pickup truck that was found abandoned days later in Hyattsville, Maryland. A candlelit vigil was held on March 22nd at the D.C. General Shelter for Relisha. It didn't take long for Relisha's relatives to start turning on each other. Shamika and Antonio blamed Melissa Young. Melissa denied that she had anything to do with Relisha's disappearance and that she had not handed the child to Khalil Tatum.
I was going to say, besides Shamika saying this, is there any evidence to support any other witness, any other person making a statement that Miss Young had Relisha and at any time gave her to Tatum to go with him?
No, and according to Ashley, the aunt, she would have Relisha and
Right.
get these phone calls from the strange man saying, I'm coming to get her.
Right.
And Ashley says, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I remember
but then
that.
Shamika's telling her, like, oh, it's okay. And she doesn't want to question, Shamika's her mother, so she doesn't really want to question Shamika's authority as a parent. But at the same time, she's like, I don't know who this man is.
And it's all must seem a bit odd, right?
Right. So, I think it just goes to show that maybe if Melissa did hand this child over, it was at Shamika's urging.
At her direction.
Or that Shamika gave permission for the child to go with him.
Well, see, that's the thing. If she ever, because I guess considering that that's happened, sounds like more than once, with when Ashley had her over at her house, her aunt, or her aunt, I like to say it like that, that maybe at some point it did. She was at Melissa Young, her grandmother's house, and Tatum picked her up there because it seemed to be fairly common for him to be the one to get her or take her places or drop her off, which is fucking weird. I'm sorry.
Well, it seems every time she's gone with him, she's had permission from her mother.
Yes.
To go.
And it seems that her mother at every turn and every bend in the story has assured people that it's okay if she does go with this man, Tatum.
But then now all of a sudden she's acting like she hardly knows who he is, even though he's an old friend of the family, and that she never gave her daughter permission to go with this man.
She's known him forever. He's he's a close friend, a godfather, at times a neurosurgeon. And she's the one telling people all these different things about this man, which is weird. It's not something people normally do. And now she don't know anything about anything.
It's not her fault. Massive searches were conducted between March 25th and the 28th at Kenilworth's Park, which is a 700, it's called Kenilworth Park and Aquatic Gardens. It's the 700-acre park. Sightings of Khalil had been reported at that location after Andrea's murder. So by the 27th, the police chief issued a statement saying the search for Relisha had become a, quote, recovery mission because they feared the child had been the victim of foul play. Video surveillance from a Home Depot surfaced showing Khalil near the Holiday Inn Express in the northeastern area. Khalil bought 42-gallon trash bags, a shovel, and lime on March 2nd. Cell phone data showed Khalil then spent a significant amount of time at the aquatic gardens, that Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens and Park or whatever, after purchasing these items. his cell phone pinged in that area of the park for like several hours.
And that's a murder kit. I mean, that's a murder kit. A shovel, trash bags, and lime. I mean, come on. What are you, a mobster?
Shamika continued to deny that she had allowed her daughter to go with Khalil. She said Relisha had been with Ashley. She failed to report Relisha missing because she feared losing her 3 sons. Shamika did admit that Relisha spent time away from the shelter, staying with relatives, and that sometimes Khalil Tatum picked the child up.
Oh, so now Ashley
Had her.
Yeah, it was Melissa Young, but now it's Ashley.
Right. It went from I never handed her over to this man. I don't know where she is to, well, sometimes he did pick her up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remembered that.
Well, anytime someone's story changes and changes and changes, I mean, can we believe them? You lose credibility.
Well, that's because the truth don't change.
It doesn't.
It is what it is, even if you don't like it.
And it's hard to keep up with a lie.
Well, yeah, it is. For people who aren't good liars. If you're a good liar, you're able to, it's the onion lie. Your lie has to have layers. You have to have answers to questions that people haven't even asked yet. So you have to be ready for that answer. So it seems natural as you continue to support
but eventually
your
people
web
get
of lies.
caught up in the lies.
No, I could lie. I'll never get caught.
You're the worst liar on the planet.
That's
Are you
not-
kidding?
that's
You are a
not
terrible
true.
liar.
Well, A, I would never lie to you, okay? B, that's just not true.
You're lying right now.
I'm not a damn lie.
The problem is that you're a terrible liar. Every time you've ever lied to me, I catch you in the lie. I can sniff it out of you like a fart in a car. I'm like an old bloodhound. I can sniff that lie, Dylan. And I know when you're telling a lie and you're full of shit.
Why?
So you always get caught.
Well, I'm saying I can lie to other people, though.
But you can't lie to me.
No, I don't want to lie to you.
But you have.
But I haven't.
But you do.
But I never would.
Just because you get caught.
Well, I'm saying. So why even
Well,
bother?
I'm just telling you, don't quit your day job because you're a really bad liar.
To you. Great liar to other people.
And I don't know about that.
And that's because you're the love of my life, and you can't lie in the face of true love.
Even if you try.
No, even if you try, it's not going to work.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, after Relisha went missing, Antonio decided it was time to part ways with Shamika. And he questioned why the police weren't looking at, quote, the family, meaning Shamika, her mom, and Ashley. Search efforts were focused on Kenilworth Park and Aquatic Gardens, and on April 1st of 2014, the body of 51-year-old Khalil Tatum was discovered in a shed at this park.
Oh, God.
He had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Authorities believed he had been dead for about 36 hours before they found him.
Damn, so here's another crazy development in this story, right?
Yeah, so the gun found next to Khalil's body was identified as the same weapon that killed Andrea. In death, Khalil Tatum left no clues on how to find Relisha. A search of the park revealed no more evidence relating to Relisha's case, and for the next 6 days, investigators and volunteers combed over the 700-acre park. Sadly, weeks turned into months, and there was no movement in Relisha's case. Law enforcement was no closer to finding the child.
Now, could you imagine just being an everyday citizen in this area as this story developed and unfolded on your local news and in the newspaper and around the water cooler? I mean, it's such a crazy story.
Once the story gained traction, there was widespread criticism of those who were supposed to protect children like Relisha. Fingers pointed at Child and Family Services for failing to intervene, despite evidence that Relisha and her brothers were repeatedly neglected and abused. The lack of oversight at the D.C. General Shelter, people were asking, like, how could you hire a career criminal like Khalil and then allow him to develop this inappropriate relationship with Relisha and her family? Like, is there just no oversight? No one's watching the staff?
And this isn't the first child that this may have been the strongest relationship. We don't even know if that's true, right? We don't know the complete history, but it sounds like he's tried this or done this to a degree with other children. even to the point where you said other parents are like, hey, stay away from my kid. And I have to imagine that some of those parents would likely go to staff or someone and say, hey, this guy's kind of fucking weird, right?
Well, employees at the shelter continuously turned a blind eye as Tatum groomed children and families. The shelter failed to protect Relisha. They failed to perform the proper inspections, the bed checks, to report, everyone's accounted for when they would do the, morning and evening musters. So everyone is failing this child. Fortunately, the DC General Shelter closed in 2018.
I'm sorry. It sounded like it needed to be closed.
Right, it did. Well, in 2017, Shamika Young went on the Steve Wilkos show with Antonio Wheeler and Melissa Young. By then, Antonio was fully blaming Shamika for Relisha's disappearance. This was Shamika's response. She said, quote, "I never gave my daughter to Khalil, and I don't know how they ended up at that hotel together."
Right. Maybe she doesn't know how they ended up there, but I don't believe her. I think it's obvious that she allowed him to, I don't know to what degree or description, but she certainly allowed this man, this weird grown-ass man, to have
access to her child.
Access to her child, and it's weird. It's unnatural, and I don't care what circumstance you're in. I would go huddle under a concrete bridge with my children before I allowed anything like this to happen.
Shamika was heavily criticized on the show. As you can imagine, the studio audience had a lot to say. Antonio and Melissa agreed to take polygraph exams. Steve Wilkos admitted the tests are inadmissible in court, but he said, he's a police officer, former police officer, and that even though polygraphs aren't always 100%, that you can learn a lot from people when they agree to take one and what their answers are. The results showed that Antonio had no hand in the child's disappearance. He answered, he had never sexually abused Relisha. He had never physically abused Relisha, and he did not know, where she was or how she had vanished. So he was telling the truth, according to the polygraph. Melissa was also found to be telling the truth, but Shamika refused to cooperate, saying, quote, "I ain't got to take no test."
So she used double negative, right? It's always a good sign.
I like to use double negatives.
I do it, even though I know it's in improper grammar. Sometimes I even use a triple negative. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm just all about being negative.
But I'm going to say again. I think that what you're describing is most of the value of a lie detector test. People's willingness to take it or them refusing to take it, whether or not it's accurate, it honestly doesn't matter, because it really kind of shows you a lot of times who might have something to hide, right?
Well, most people who say I don't have anything to hide are the very ones typically that say I'll take a polygraph and prove I have nothing to hide. So yeah, when somebody refuses to take a polygraph, it does make them look guilty, although I would personally never take a polygraph. But I mean, come on, you're on the Steve Wilkos show. It's not like that polygraph's going to be used in a courtroom or anything like that.
So yeah, I mean,
but she still refuses to cooperate. She doesn't want to take the polygraph.
Well, yeah, and that's just it's the way she's been during this whole situation, right?
Well, Steve Wilkos, the host, told her, quote, "I was the police, and I investigated murders, crimes against children, and I'll tell you right now, you would be number one on my list of people I'd be looking at."
Damn.
Overall, Shamika's attitude seemed to rub people the wrong way. I mean, not only on the Steve Wilkos show, but during interviews, people thought she seemed a lot more calm than a mother who's got a missing child. And when people would ask her, why do you not seem so upset about this? She would say things like, well, I have 3 other children I've got to take care of.
Oh, okay. I got to remain strong for my other 3 children.
Shamika denied ever allowing Khalil to take Relisha, which has proven to be a lie. People didn't find Shamika to be a very credible witness, and since Relisha's disappearance, Shamika has at different times blamed Melissa, Ashley, and Antonio. As late as 2021, Shamika stated that Antonio was responsible for her daughter's disappearance.
Okay.
Even though he was out of town in Pennsylvania when the girl went missing, working.
It makes total sense.
Throughout the investigation, there has been no evidence linking Shamika or Antonio to Relisha's disappearance, but there have been several theories floated as to what happened. The first theory is she was trafficked by Khalil Tatum. A lot of folks believe that Shamika sold her daughter to Khalil.
Oh, wow.
Who went on to traffic her and possibly sold her to someone else. The other theory is that Khalil killed Relisha, buried her maybe in the park, and will, maybe never know what happened to her. But her case still remains open and active. Police get tips on this case, and of course they look into those. But so far, we don't know what happened to Relisha.
What do you think about those theories floated? Which one might hold water for you?
Both theories make sense to me. I mean, I'm not sure what happened to Relisha. She could still be alive and somewhere out there. We would like to hope, right? But I think it's possible that Shamika sold her daughter to Khalil. She doesn't seem like she's very emotionally tied up in the fact that her daughter's been missing all these years.
Yeah,
Doesn't
no,
seem
that's
very
weird.
cooperative. She's told multiple lies. She doesn't look like the good guy in this, I'll tell you that.
Well, no, at the very least, I think you could say she was very negligent in her daughter's care and everything that happened around. But I think it goes further than that, because she told outright lies, multiple versions of what happened. She blamed everyone around her but herself. She wouldn't even say, I don't know what happened, but I'm afraid my own problems maybe, put us in a situation where something could happen. No self-reflection at all about her situation. She had all that time to get herself together.
She accepts zero responsibility.
Zero responsibility.
I mean, she says that. It's not my fault. I don't accept responsibility for my daughter's disappearance.
But as everyone around her, it seems, in one way or another, was like, hey, who's this guy? It's kind of weird. She would always allay their fears and tell them it's okay. He's the godfather. I've known him forever. He's okay. It's okay if he comes and picks her up. See, all that goes beyond negligence in my book into the realm of complicity. Like, for whatever weird-ass arrangement you had, be it monetary, be it she just didn't want to deal with her own child, and this was easier. You allowed it. You helped it happen. Yeah, I don't know. I think she had some kind of weird hand in what happened to her daughter, and I think it's almost in my mind 100% that Khalil did something to Relisha. I think he killed her. Me and you've discussed this case, and I think you had a good theory. Maybe Khalil's wife found out he was doing something terrible to the little girl, and that's why he killed her. And then maybe disposed of Relisha and then killed himself. Which I think that really kind of lines up logically in this very strange case.
Yeah, I mean, we can all theorize what happened, but at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't have any answers, and this child is still missing. By now, she would be an adult.
Right.
She would be, 20, going on 21 years old. And it's just really sad to know that this beautiful little girl is just up and vanished.
No, it's horrible. And then, of course, if you think about all the what ifs and maybes of what did happen to her, what could have happened to her, or where she may have ended up, it's all just sad. It's just a sad thought process.
Well, Dylan, thank you for sitting down with me today to discuss Relisha's case and, of course, finish that up.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, not a happy ending.
No, well, it never is.
But we can have hope that maybe Relisha is out there somewhere living her best life.
Well, and I know that if she is no longer on this plane of existence with us, she's in a better place, no matter what you may think that place is.
So sad. So sad.
Damn. Shamika, dude. What the hell? I'm not ever going to let her babysit my kids.
Well, I believe that the boys were taken from her, just based on the information I've seen. They were taken, placed into foster care. Does seem like she and Antonio have maybe tried to get custody or, win back custody of the boys. But I've not seen anything saying that they have gotten their children back. And in 2021, when they returned to the Steve Wilkos show for like a follow-up, they still did not have custody of their boys. Of course, that was 5 years ago, but who's to say,
Well, and it leads
this
you
point.
to believe that they still have not gotten their shit together.
Probably not, Dylan.
All right. Thank you for that, Heather. And thank you to everyone out there listening. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we cannot wait to return for a midweek.
So much to talk about, Dylan.
So much.
Bye.
Bye.